being a grand final, and at some point a Challenge Cup final in along the way. That's what we're recruiting towards doing.
Thanks for joining us on the Dockhouse Rugby Show. Today we've got our special guest. It's Mr. Derek Beaumont from Leigh Centurions. Derek, welcome back to the show.
Hi guys, see more of you than misses these days.
I'm not kissing you goodbye.
No, thank God.
Talk to you about Leigh Centurions, really. You're building such a strong squad of players at the moment and a good coach. Can you just talk us through how easy or hard it's been to build that squad and find those players and to get them signed up?
Yeah, the credit goes to Chris Chester and Adrian Lam, really. I suppose mine and Duke's biggest part of the involvement was getting Chris on board and then getting Adrian on board, which are the key components. And Chesney started with 5 players. We had 5 coming with us from the Superleague side that got relegated. So it needed patience. It wasn't a case of just signing everything and anything. We needed to make sure that we got the right people. He had to kind of start doing that before Adrian had come on board. And at one point, we even thought that Chesney might have had to start the coaching role, just, even though that's what he wasn't coming as. Obviously, he's a proven Super League coach. So we had that security there. But we didn't want to go too far ahead in recruiting players, because then when a coach comes in, if they don't fit how they want to play or what they want to do or the culture they want to bring, then you end up with an issue, kind of probably you could say what's going on at Warrington now with Powell going in there and wanting to put his own stamp and stuff. So we had to go cautious. So the big one for me to land was Adrian Lam. And then obviously that in itself sets a statement and made things easier for Chesney, and Lammy could identify the players. So we always knew that what we started with wasn't going to be a big enough squad. We had a relationship with St. Helens, who we have a fantastic working relationship with. So met with me and Dukes met with Russia in the early part of it to see what players they would have likely available and whatnot. It was never our intention to need that at the back end, where we're, from here now, we always intended to have our own team with our own players and not need assistance. But we knew we couldn't get that in the beginning, not because of money, just because of availability and finding the right things. So it was a very measured and structured approach to it. And we knew the areas that we needed to add and strengthen, and that's not disrespectful to players that came in the early part, that they're still part of our squad and they're important in what they do. They're just not quite getting in because we brought other players in, but they're still very much part of it. And that's whether you're out on loan, putting pressure on someone who's being picked, just so that you're keeping match fit, or if you're actually playing. So it was a process of getting a team in place, having the security of St. Helens, whilst we then built it bigger and got to where we have now, which pretty much I won't say is the end as yet, because there's still a few weeks left, and there's still the possibility that something else might be added in terms of what Adrian's plans were. But the key component of it was to get to a point where, instead of only having 5 players at the end of the year and having to bring in 20, that we've got 20 and we might change 5. That was the sort of way. So all credit goes to Chris and Adrian, really. I've only had to get involved in some of the bigger ones. You Blake Ferguson's, that kind of thing, and a little bit on the Ipape thing. So Chris will liaise back with me, and sometimes it does pay for the owner to be speaking as well. But Chris has done the work, and him and Adrian have identified the players. They've been given the budget. If he steps outside it, which he's had to do numerous times, he comes and taps on my door and, can we do this? Would you do that? And
a bit more money, please.
Yeah. And I think that we've got a really, really good group of people. I haven't been around it as much as in the past because, as you said, really is for Chesy to do. It drained me last year in Superleague, so I didn't want to be in that situation again. I wanted him to, them to have full autonomy and just get on with the bits that we do, and they've done a great job. And the group of players, when I have been around, and obviously I've spoke before, that cope on various things and seen some stream runs, and we've been paintballing together. We went the races the other day with Marwan and things like that. But they're a good group of energetic younger players with good leg speed, good aggression, and they're on a journey together to achieve something that we set out at the beginning, to achieve that's special, that comes with a special reward if it gets delivered. And they're all bought into that, and they're all hell-bent on getting it, and they're looking good to get it. So that's an even bigger hit on my pocket. But
you can see that from watching the games. It's a strong squad, but not individuals. They're playing much better as a team than I remember them playing in the past. And we've got a question from our sponsor, Alan Berry from Autism Friendly Caravans, wanted to put a question to you. So he's pointed out about the strength of the squad, and particularly Ipape and Ferguson, who are two players who would walk into any top 4 Super League team, two fantastic players. How did you manage to convince those to come to, no disrespect, but Leigh Centurions, who were in the Championship, when they could easily walk into some very top teams?
So I touched on it in one of the other shows with you, that the facility is a big asset to us in selling something. Now, rugby players obviously only get a short period of time in which they can play their career. So if we deal with, say, Ferguson first, so that we knew how big of a player he was, and I'm not going to name names, but there was a Super League club that went really hard in the last 2 weeks of when we'd already kind of agreed what was what. So it's about how you sell things. So someone like Blake, at that point in time, he'd had his issues in Japan. He was coming back over. It's all about the environment for that person and how you're going to treat them, and how you're going to understand them and know of those errors. Now, it's no secret I've had my issues over the years with things. I've wrote about it back in time. People can search alcohol, depression and drugs article I did back in 2013, 14, whenever it was, 15, I'm not sure. So I understand that. I've got a brother who's an alcoholic, has been for 15 years. So I understand issues around that and mental health, I've issues of my own. So those kind of things on how you can explain to a player's manager, and the relationship that you have with the player's manager as well, who understands you, knows that you're the right fit for that individual. So it's about putting Blake Ferguson in an environment what's healthy for him, what's understands him, that doesn't apply too much pressure to him, and enables him to reinvent himself and fall back in love with the game of rugby league, where he is undoubtedly going to stand out because he's playing, without being disrespectful again, he's playing in the Championship when he's a top world-class NRL player. He's proving it. He had 4 carries. He only played 60 minutes at Sheffield. I've just seen his stats before. 4 carries for 121 metres. That it's not. He's only had to make 2 tackles in the game because nobody's going near him because they don't want whacking. So, but then if they go on the other side, he whacks them. So he's he's absolutely loving it. So the process to sell was, Sam, this is the best environment for Blake Ferguson. Lammy's a great coach, so he'll be the understandings, the mechanism of supporting him and helping what's what and understanding him. I speak to Blake. I think I've spoke to Blake every day bar maybe 2 since he got here. I'm always on to him, understanding him. And he's loving it. He's absolutely loving it. And you can tell by what he's doing, the way he's bought in. So the process was that would be what he would do. It puts him in the shop window to get the bigger. He's on decent money, don't get me wrong. Most I've had at my club. And it puts him in the shop window for the big numbers that he's had in the past or are being given out by some Super League clubs. Now, the thing was with his manager was, as part of that, because we're creating that opportunity and paying well for it and doing what's what, that we get first dibs on making that decision. And that process was extended for us to July. So even though the window opened in May, I said we can't make decisions on giving out high-end contracts when it could end up really backfiring on us. So, when you're talking marquee players and things. So we went for the July, ended up pushing the button earlier on things just because I felt that confidence was there and that we needed to do it, as I said earlier, and the money's there. If it goes wrong and it's 2 bar, then that's what we're putting. So there is other clubs obviously in for Blake Ferguson. Blake Ferguson wants to stay where he is. Whether or not that will happen will depend on the numbers and what he decides. But that was the sell to him. Come here, you're still earning, less pressure, reinvent yourself, shine, build yourself back, fitness, everything else, on a journey into Super League, and then either stay with us and go on or go back to the NRL or go to a Super League club. That was the way that one was ultimately done.
I mean, that's fascinating, really, because again, like any organisation, you want your staff to feel valued and welcomed and understand them and create an environment where they can shine. It looks like you've considered all that even before you put pen to paper and discuss what his needs were. And if you get him happy and comfortable, he's going to pay it back on the field for you.
Yeah, 100%. And that's exactly what he is doing. You can see that, he's fully invested in what we're doing, as are all the players. You look at, I met with John Asiata the other day, quality, he's won the grand final over there. He was at the point of giving up the game and going working in the mines, and then the old vaccine situation kind of played into our hands, really, where we was able to. It's one of the best things to come out of COVID for me, John Asiata, because if it hadn't happened, we would have never got him. And he's absolutely fully invested, back loving the game, wanting to stay here, and he's a big part of what we're doing there in the middle of the park. So, that was a signing that I spent, Chesney got so far with it, with his Saints, whatever, and believe it or not, I can say this, I think, without any trouble. York was very close to getting John Asiata, and the conversation I had with John at length, we've got a lot of similarities in what John's really charitable. He likes to help people. If he can help someone or go and do a training session or go and visit a kid or do something, he's a real giver. We're very similar on that. And so when we got chatting about different things that I do and things that we do in the community, and I sent him our Super League bid that showed all that kind of work and different things. And it's really selling your club and what they're going to achieve. And the other thing that's always important for me, like going back to having a Gazok, and I've mentioned that to Fergie, some of the issues there with Gaz when he come, and you come with a blank piece of paper. You get judged by me and our club by what gets wrote on that paper from your time with us, not what's been on other people's pieces of paper. But people should be given an opportunity to start again and not have to tow a load of stuff with them. And if you do it again on your piece of paper, well, then that's fine. Then you deal with that, and that's who they are. But they've got an opportunity. Giving a blank piece of paper gives somebody a really inspiring chance. So, yeah. And then if you look at BJ Luluai, who's at Featherstone, there was some story about, I think he said something about we weren't giving him an house or something like that. Well, the reality of that one is, and again, he was offered the year before to us, and the coach at the time didn't see that as a fit. Different coaches have different ways, like we said. So we'd not taken advantage of that in Superleague. Then when he was coming over, because his agent thought we weren't interested, he'd approached Featherstone, because that's the next club that's going to have any money in the Championship, because there wasn't Superleague there. Lammy came in late on it to Chesney and said, listen, there's no issue with BJ Luluai. I can manage BJ, and we can get some. It'd be good in the Championship for us. He can do whatever. So we went in late on it, and he chose to go on the part-time option rather than our full-time option. He was probably a bit further down the road. So we never even got to discussing houses and things, but they're always a part of the package. Helping them find one, or if we supply it, and we have a player welfare manager who does it all. And that's another big thing. We'll get in touch. We'll show them the schools that the children can go to. We'll show them the Pennington Flash and what's around the place and things that they can do. And we'll look after it. This is the house you'll be in. It's a video through of it. This is your car. So the confidence there. This is what we do for our players' wives on game day. This is where your children are. This is how we look after. So they're coming over. These players are coming over from the other side of the world, and the big sell is what their life will be like, not just the rugby. It's a big part of it, and that's the same with Edwin Ipape. When it comes down to it, he's going to bring his wife and children over now, because he's committed for 3 years, and what that would look like and what she could do and what his children could do and how that would impact on them was a big part of him. But he came to the club purely off Adrian Lam. Adrian knew him. Adrian knew that he'd, again, a player who'd had a bit of a mistake with something that's gone on, which isn't really for me to go into. I don't know whether it was ever reported or not. It's nothing bad. But it saw his club terminate him. And he was lost to the game. He was lost to the game. He was off back in a small village that he lives in, and that was that. And Adrian was trying to find a way of getting in touch with him, because he knew if he could bring him here and get it right, he could be the revelation that he is. And Edwin backed himself and left his family and came and took a chance on not a big contract, but far from it. Like any Championship club could have took Edwin on what he came and backed himself for. Now it's a different matter. Now he's got a 3-year deal worthy of what he is as a player, because Superleague was all over it as well. And that's just purely Adrian's knowledge of him, being from PNG, and selling to him that he'll look after him, he'll coach him, he'll get him back, and he'll give him a great opportunity to rebuild his career.
I love that approach. Leave your baggage at the door. We'll take you on your merits as a player, and you're going to write your own history here at Leigh. There's your blank piece of paper. Love that approach and that attitude. Yeah. It's fantastic. And I'm sure that as a player, they're 100% invested straight away into that open and fresh attitude.
Yeah, absolutely. And then because that environment is there, and then it genuinely gets delivered upon, and the support network, we have this cliche family, and it is that, it's just one big family, and we help we help people out. Just small things that you can do, where Christmas falls, and you pay players early, and just things, and always having an open door and a direct relationship with them. And ultimately, when it comes down to it, you've got to want to do it for each other. There's got to be something that, when they're whacking their bodies on the line and it's tough, there's got to be something that they're doing it for other than themselves and each other, what they're buying into. And you've not got a group of people from Leigh. You've not even got a group of people from Lancashire. You've got Yorkshire, Australian, Kiwis, Tonga, PNG, Cook Islands, whatever the case is. It doesn't matter. It's this is what we're building, what's special. It's our thing. And it just so happens that it's at this club. And then that's where your fans make it special and come in. And the fans, Edwin put in his press release how they was a big part of him making his decision, the way they sing his name and bought into him and walking around the town, people are going over to him. And, if he goes out somewhere, trying to buy him a pint, poor guy had his bike nicked. He goes around on a bike. He padlocked just the front wheel to the thing. So someone left his wheel and took his bike.
To the bike.
It's a funny story, but somebody in the town has bought him a new bike.
Oh, brilliant. Wow.
Yeah. So he just loves it.
So it sounds like the town of Leigh bought into it as well. And I think I was doing some research earlier for work, and high-performing teams have that connectivity. If there's a connectivity, you're more likely to have that high-performing team. And a number of the things you've mentioned are about the connectivity between yourself and the players and each other, thinking about what the wives do on game day, all of those aspects of playing for the club. It's not just running on the field with your boots on. There's so much more around that. And you've mentioned those points several times in that. It's so I didn't know whether you knew of that research or are you doing it anyway and you're meeting what other people have identified as management theories. But there's a few questions we've got from some of our subscribers, and one of them that tickled me really. You mentioned just before about part-time players, and one of the questions they wanted us to ask you was, what's the funniest job that one of your part-time players has done?
That is a tough one.
I suppose what is
they're not all brickies and sparks.
Yeah.
I can't think of anyone who's had anything that's like funny or mega interesting, to be honest with you. Most of them are just sort of like from trades,
as we are, yeah. We're
you was a stripper when you was older.
Yeah.
I was going to say there's one or two of them could definitely have gone and done a bit of male stripping, I've no doubt.
What's the money like in that? I'm not sure we could make any money anymore at that. Well,
I'm bored now. I'm out of the game.
I mean, that's maybe what you'll have to do then. The next time you recruit a part-time player, ask them what the job is, because you need an answer to list on the next.
We need to know, yeah. I honestly can't think of any, if anything at all that springs to mind of anybody having anything funny.
I'm thinking about the club itself. They talk about the merchandise and the shirt sales, and one question that came up is there a possibility for fans or players to buy shirts that the team have worn before? Is that an opportunity?
Player shirts are always given to the player.
Right.
Some players do sell them for charity, but it's a personal thing for them. It's their shirt. It's for them to own. We did, so like for the final, they all got a commemorative shirt. That's theirs to keep. If they wanted to donate it to charity or sell it to a fan, I've seen that done before, but it's not something that the club does. You can buy player version shirts, and we can always make them accessible to get them signed and things like that. But the player shirts, it's just kind of a traditional thing at all clubs, that's your shirt for that year.
It's a reward for the player. They might want to keep it, or in years to come, as you say, donate it to charity. Yeah. How well do the club do on merchandise like shirt sales? Is it a big income for the club, or is it more of something you do because your fans want it?
Yeah, it's not. By the time you take out of your margin, your operating costs of your staff, and your retail outlet, etc., it doesn't really generate anything significant at our club anyway. I mean, obviously as the numbers grow, as you get bigger, because you buy however many shirts and then you don't always sell them all because you've got to have all the different sizes and stuff. So you'll always get to end of the year and you've got some write-off. So it doesn't lose us money, but it isn't something that we focus as being a big part of our income. It's just really your main key components is obviously your season ticket and match day ticket income is your primary income source in the championship. Second to that would be your commercial revenue from your shirt sponsorships and your match day sponsorships, your grindboard advertising, so your commercial aspect. And then your third biggest revenue in being in the championship is your central funding from the RFL. That's kind of how it stacks. Then below that would be stuff from like your retail and your half-time draw and your lottery department, that kind of thing. In Super League, can't say for all clubs, but certainly for Leigh, the central funding would be the biggest element of 1.5, and then it would go in the same order.
Right, yeah. Have you mentioned a couple of times about your fans as you spoke on the episodes, quite a bit about the fans. Leigh is a historical club with a very strong amateur setup, community game, and a strong hotbed of rugby league and those fans. How do you feel that in the club? I'm sure you sense it. And have you got any thoughts or messages to your fans, Derek?
No, our fans are brilliant, but one of the proudest parts of my involvement of being at Leigh and what gives you a good buzz for your money was when we got promoted and we beat Huddersfield in the middle eights, and the North Stand was just a sea of just noise and colour, and even the West Stand, it was coming at you from here as well. And everyone talks about the North Stand because it's standing and it's where the noise sort of generates. And just seeing the buzz on people's faces, the excitement that we're in Super League, and it's a magnificent feeling. But more importantly than that, how we can influence and have a positive impact in the community. Our community department, the Community Trust, is brilliant. You mentioned the sponsor of this show, Autism for Caravans. I mean, that interests me because we work on caravans, we do decks, etc. But we also have in our Community Trust have an autism centre in the town as well. And we, children can go there, and even on game days and things, we do an autism aware day. We do lots and lots and lots of programs that infect our community. So our fans, when they get involved and they support all those things as well, and then they come and they support the lads. And I can feel when the crowd is a bit low, it's damaging to me. But when you see 4,300, of which only 300 are from Fed, come to a Monday night game that's on Premier that they can watch in the pub, and undoubtedly some did, that gives me a big lift and motivates me on putting it. So the fans are the most important thing. The club will always be there, and it'll always have fans. People like me will have our time and go, and somebody else will be doing the reins. That's just the king is dead, long live the king. So the fans, the future generation are coming through. We've got loads of kids. We've got old fans. We've got families. Lots of families come, lots of young kids. So you can see a strong future for our time going through. And the numbers are there, and they make it so much easier. It's easier to find 5,000 people with £100 than one man with £500,000. So that's got to be how the club grows. The club's got to keep growing its supporter base by bringing quality players, by being competitive, gets to sell out crowds, and it can get the marquee players. I want to get to where we're in Super League. Our fans are funding the club by their attendance and the sponsorship, etc. And mine and my wife's money and energies then go on the youth, on building that, because that's got to be there. It's got to have that to be proper, viable and sustainable over a long term. And as you said, we've got all of those clubs in the minors, the East Goulburn, West Orton. They're all culture. They're all there producing players that are currently going elsewhere. We need to tap that back into it. But it is building top bottom. But when you're in Super League and staying in there and competing, everything else. Adrian Lam has a thing. He says winning takes care of everything. It's actually a slogan from the golf for Tiger Woods. You know, when he had all that hassle going on, the picture of him there, winning takes care of everything. So his manager said to him, you just win. That takes care of all that rubbish that's going on. People forget about that. You just do the winning. And that's what we need to do. We just need to keep building, keep having good players, win, become competitive, and everything else will follow on from it. And we've got gears to go yet. Lammy will tell you, if you get an interview with him, he will tell you we're in camp 3 of 5 camps. And part of the recruitment, the stats, the things he brings into the game, the things the players do, the way they grow and develop as a team and individuals to finish at the peak, which is the grand final, which is the game that's got to be won. Anything else counts for nothing. It's that 80 minutes when it comes down to it. We're heading to that from the recruitment. It's all going in that upward curve.
All aiming that way. Well, I suppose the final question would be, and you've touched upon parts of this already, is what would good look like for Leigh in a few years' time?
2022 is promoted to Superleague, was treble, win 1895 Cup, win the league, win the grand final. I'll tell you now, that's what we set out to do.
No, you're objective.
2023 is to finish in the top half of Super League. 2024 is to finish in the top 4 of Super League. 2025 is to be in a grand final, and at some point a Challenge Cup final in along the way. That's what we're recruiting towards doing. That's the plan.
So in 3 years' time, if you're in the top 4 of Super League and you've maybe made one of the finals, you'd be satisfied with that. That's your minimum objective sort of goal.
That's where I believe our club can be managed correctly with the right people in that we've got and growing it. And then the important work is then to underpin that, then to get we're working with the RFL now on the academy aspect, what we are allowed to do. And we've started running the programs, and then we'll have some games at the end of the year. And then that's Ches's thing, but we're building that below it. So that's going in this curve, so that when we get to there, we can have the actual academy with through the RFL, and that can be in a place where we are competing for the better kids at 14, 15, because we are a top 6 Super League side.
Fantastic. And I think you're right to have those goals. From what you've spoken about, the structure's in place. You've got everything in place. There's no reason why you can't achieve those goals. And we're certainly all behind you, Derek. We'll be watching out for your results. We've really enjoyed chatting with us, and we wish you all the success in the future.
Yeah, we'll let you go home and get some tea. I know, and like Dave says, thank you for your time, and thanks for staying on and chatting with us. Thanks to you guys as well for watching. I hope you've enjoyed what Derek's had to say. If you've enjoyed this episode, please hit that subscribe button and give us a follow. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, and we're on YouTube. It's the Dockhouse Rugby Show. Derek, thanks very much for your time, mate. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks, guys.
The Dockhouse Rugby Show is proudly sponsored by Autism Friendly Caravans Blackpool, where every day there is a new adventure.